Another day, another sexual harassment claim against San Diego Mayor Bob Filner. This time, a former campaign staffer has come forward saying Filner touched her on the rear and made sexually suggestive remarks when he was a congressman back in 2005. Now, this comes just days after Filner's former spokeswoman, Irene McCormick Jackson, went into detail about behavior that she describes as simply disgusting. Let's listen.
My job in an atmosphere. The past 6 months turned out to be the worst time of my entire working life. I had to work and do my job in an atmosphere where women were viewed by Mayor Filner as sexual objects or stupid idiots. He had asked me to work without my underwear on. I was placed in the Filner headlock and moved around as a rag doll while he whispered sexual comments in my ear.
All right, that was the first. Now, Mayor Filner's latest accuser, the second public one, says that Jackson's decision to come forward gave her the courage to tell her own story. Laura Fink says there's only one thing left for the mayor to do, and that is resign. And Laura joins us now live from San Diego. Laura, thank you so much for being with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
For our viewers who have not yet heard your story, tell us your experience with then Congressman Filner back in 2005.
In 2005, I was Congressman Filner's deputy campaign manager, and I was also responsible for spearheading his fundraising efforts. My first fundraising event was a formal dinner. It was a 3-course meal with 3 tables, and my job was to move the congressman between courses from table to table. When I came after the second course, I stood behind him as he sat, waiting for a pause in the conversation so that I could then escort him to the next table. He then told me to turn around, which I did, which I know sounds ridiculous, but when you're a staffer, sometimes you don't think, you just do. So I turned around, and this was following a comment from one of the guests that had mentioned that I had took us off for the congressman and that I should really be appreciated for that. So the congressman then told me to turn around and patted me on the bum and said, "Nope, it's still there," and laughed.
Now, at the time, you did not go public with this incident, but you did write the then congressman an email about the incident. I want to read part of it to you. You wrote to the then congressman, you said, "I was totally humiliated by this event. The fact that I've worked so diligently on your behalf makes your actions even more disappointing. This behavior is totally unacceptable." I have 2 questions about this. First, tell me how he responded to this email you sent him. And second, why did you write it? Were you trying to leave a paper trail at that time?
Well, if you talk to just about anyone, documenting claims, particularly when they're fresh in your mind, is an important aspect of making a claim in general. Documentation is important because it does leave a record, and I think that I wanted to make sure that this didn't happen again, and it didn't happen to me, and it didn't happen to anyone else. So yes, I documented it, and I put it down not only so that I would remember it accurately, but also so that there would be a record. And I sent it to him directly, and I CC'd his chief of staff at the time.
How did he respond? How did the congressman respond then?
The congressman did not respond. His chief of staff called me, asked me what I wanted to do. I simply said that I wanted an apology, and I repeated, my request that this not happen to any other women on staff or otherwise. And he the congressman within the week came to me, and he mumbled an apology and then proceeded to tell me, but I just didn't understand.
So a mumbled apology, but not understanding. That's back in 2005. Now it's 2013. We should say we have reached out to now Mayor Filner's office repeatedly for comment regarding your accusations. We have not heard back, but the mayor did release a statement in response to earlier claims made against him. Let me read it in part. It says, "As someone who has spent a lifetime fighting for equality for all people, I am embarrassed to admit that I have failed to fully respect the women who work for me and with me, and that at times I have intimidated them." He also said in a statement released this week, I believe in response to the charges from Ms. Jackson, "I do not believe these claims are valid. That is why due process is so important. I intend to defend myself vigorously, and I know that justice will prevail." What's your reaction to his statements, and will anything less than a resignation from the mayor's office at this point satisfy you?
Well, I think that there are many reasons why the mayor should resign. He's clearly had an admission of not fully respecting women. For that reason alone, I think he should resign. That's clear. He's abdicated responsibility for running the city to an unelected administrator, and so he's not serving in the office in the capacity of mayor at all. So for the city of San Diego, it's clear to me that there's only one reason, many reasons he should resign, and only one reason why he's choosing to stay, and that's his own self-interest.
Laura Fink, thank you for coming here and telling us your story. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, John.